photograph, and then I transferred that to tracing paper, and then I drew the other one and transferred that to tracing paper, and then I used, in the center there, you can see my rule of thirds to set up where I might want to put my focal points, and my main focal point is the bird that's upside down and eating out of the seed pod. So I wanted that to be a focal point, but where I wanted my secondary focal points, I also put in those intersect points. So this is an example of how I really think about, taken 2 horizontal photographs and turned them into the vertical format, because the vertical format has more drama to it than the horizontal format. So I decided that the drama of the birds feeding was what I wanted to get across. So I wanted to make it more vertical than horizontal. And then I do a value study, and you can see that this is a creative painting rather than just a copy of a photograph. So those are some ideas that I wanted to show you. And the same thing goes for this poppy painting, if I could just show you. Very specifically wanted to really incorporate the golden mean in it. But I was walking one day, and these are kind of dark to show, but I was walking to my morning walk on Sunday one morning, and I ran across these beautiful poppy field of just really bright and beautiful, and the photograph didn't really explain to me how beautiful and vibrant these poppies were in the sun. And I was also really intrigued, which you can hardly see, with these poppy pods that had a kind of a halo and glow behind them. So I got the photographs. This was a nice photograph, but it really didn't capture the energy and the experience that I felt when I found this just glowing field of poppies. So I took these 3 photographs as my reference, but I didn't just copy them. So I set up my golden ratio for my format. This is actually about 18 by 28 in the end. It's a pretty big painting. And then I really loved that these little pods seem to be talking to each other. But we know that 3 is always a better number than 2. So instead of doing a pair of poppy pods, I took 3 pods and put them together, and they almost look like they're dancing to me. And I set up my focal point here at this main center. I used my S composition on a sideway S to overall design. And then I set up my secondary focal point here with these dancing pods. So to me, it felt like a musical situation. So I call this painting the Rhapsody in Spring, because it felt just vibrant and musical and so much energy. But if I'd have just set them up in a line, that would have been more calm when I really wanted to get the sense of flow and movement. So I used my S shape to talk about it. So those are just some ideas for composition. Try not to just copy the photograph. Photograph is fine. It's a really nice photograph, but this was pretty centered, wasn't it? And the background, I thought, was not contributing to my energy, so I just sort of implied the background. So use your photographs, but be creative and use your ideas behind composition to set up your lesson.
Colleen, a question on the golden ratio. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that the intersections are the focal points. Mm-hmm. Do I get to pick which one will be my primary focal point?
Absolutely. That's the idea behind it. There's 4 candidates, and you pick one for your main focal point. And then if you want secondary emphasis, oftentimes it's good to put those in the intersections. So how do we create emphasis? So when you want your emphasis in a painting, and that's a great question, Shar, thanks. You really want to have the most drama at your focal point. So how do we create drama? We create it with contrast in every way. So if we take all our elements, we have line, we have shape, we have color, we have value. Value is the range from light to dark. So if we have all those elements, we want to put the most contrast at the focal point. So if you'll see, I have a light spot here and a really dark spot there. And everything sort of leads your eye to that focal point. I have this poppy coming in and pointing to my focal point. And I tried to put the darkest dark against the lightest light, and the darkest blue against the brightest orange. So that's the opposites. When we get into the next lesson, we'll really talk about color and using color as compositional as a compositional element, blues against orange. So those are complementary colors. So you want to put the most contrast right there. And my secondary emphasis, which was really important to me to have these dancing pods to exude music, I put those in a secondary emphasis point. But yes, you get to choose which one of the four is the best for your composition. It's exciting. The golden mean can get a little mathy and nerdy on you, but to me it's really exciting. And please, and this painting has actually got a lot of attention. So it's probably one of my better paintings. It was actually done in brusho, which is kind of a watercolor ink rather than washo, so it's a little brighter than watercolor might be. But it's exciting stuff, learning about composition. And I would like to know if you had any other questions about that.
No questions at the moment, but I will ask them as soon as they come in.
Okay.
So don't forget to ask.
All right, so don't forget to ask questions out there, everybody. So I'm actually at a point where we can move into lesson 2. How is our timing?
Let's do it. Well, we have about 20 minutes before the break.
Okay, good, because the next lesson is actually going to take a little longer, and I really want to have some time to get into painting a little bit. So are you ready to paint?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so, because one of my focuses is going to be on color. So I have pre-prepared a color wheel. One I've already painted in preparation for this class. And I'm using the technique that we're going to talk about of flat washes to create the color wheel. So I'm going to refer to this, and I'm going to paint the next one. So I really, really encourage everyone to chart your colors, understand your colors before you just jump into painting. Let me go ahead and turn this around, because it's really informative. So I've created this color wheel by mixing color rather than using color out of the tube. So if you took the Watercolor Basics class, which I'm hoping all of you did, and you purchased it so you can refer back to it, you'll know that this is a palette. This is not hot press, but cold press paper. So cold press paper is the most common type of paper that you can use as a watercolor artist. It has a little bit of a texture to it, so meaning it has a little bit of hills and valleys on the surface. So we like this because it kind of holds the paint in place for us. And then I created this little template, a circle template, so that I can chart